Welcome to the Wonk podcast. This week's guest is director Adam Newacheck. He's worked on shows such as Workaholics and Adam Devine's House Party, as well as commercials for Old Navy and Mountain Dew that he runs through his company, Nooch Creative. Enjoy.
Me and Kyle may have different thought processes on this, but I know what happened was when I was in fifth grade, I want to say fifth or sixth grade, my dad bought all the parts to a computer. And my dad's probably going to say this is not true, but this is what I remember. He bought all the parts to the computer, and if I was able to put it all together, I could have the computer. So I did, and then I became in love. I loved computers, and I would always try to hook up, like, networking, everything like that, and just try to get it up. So at one point, I remember in my music room, which was where our version of the magic happened, me and Kyle, we lived in this, it was like this little 10 by 10 box that was completely soundproof. We had a set of drums in there. But we would like just set up, I would have like 10 computers and I would set them all up on networks and then take them all apart and set them again on networks and try to set up all the different things. But that was in like fifth or sixth grade. And then Kyle got a VHS camera from my grandpa, like an old one of that where you had the camera in your hands and then it went to a cable and you wore the deck on your hip. Yeah. And so that is where, and then Kyle started doing claymation. And I'm sure if we go back, because we have all these videos, if we go back, we could actually find the first one. The first one I remember was, I think it was like a snow scene that Kyle had made, and a dog walks in, squats, and takes a shit, and walks off. And I remember as a kid seeing it, because he's 2 years older than me, I remember just being like, oh, we can do anything. That dog just took a nice swirly dump, and Kyle did that all with claymation. I mean, it took him probably a really long time, but
Was it like 9 frames a second or something?
Probably. I don't even know if it was that. It was like 2 frames a second. As fast as you could click the record button.
Yeah.
Because you just had to hit it like, ding, ding.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then Kyle had his group of friends and I had my group of friends. And we were both making stuff all the time. And I would help Kyle edit. And then I would do stuff for myself. And so we started just making videos. It started with, obviously, like everybody else, skate videos. That's kind of all we did, but we sucked at skating. So the only one we had that was good was like bail videos, like
skating bail videos.
Yeah, we were never good at landing tricks, or at least I wasn't. I'm a rollerblader when I say skating. I'm a fruit booter, but
a fruit booter.
Yeah, I'm a fruit booter, and he's a wood pusher.
That's cool. I don't know what that means, but it's awesome.
He's a skateboard.
Is this Jackass Time? Is this what kind of
this
inspired a little bit?
Yeah. So I went. I want to say this is 97, 98.
Jackass.
Yeah,
like Tom Green and shit.
Yeah, because 2000. Was when I graduated middle school or went to high school, and it was all right around there. There was one time where my dad, like, it had to have been, because we had a half pipe in our backyard at that point. My dad was very, like, cool with us, so he just didn't want us skating any, like, breaking public property. So he's like, I'll build you a half pipe, I'll build you a quarter pipe. And we just would, I mean, that was the best part about it. And we felt like little mini Jackass crews, but none of us were brave enough to do anything very dangerous. Like, I remember, I think the gnarliest thing, I mean, we did a couple things that were kind of stupid. Like, there's this video, actually, Kyle used it at my wedding speech or talked about it, was we wanted to make squibs, which are, you know, like bullet squibs.
Yeah.
So we took and made them, and I would test them on Kyle, and I set the camera up on a tripod, and I hooked the little missile rocket thing to a squib that had a condom full of blood on it, and then I would light it, and you see it in the video. It's so funny. It goes off, it looks okay, and then all of a sudden Kyle's shirt just catches on fire immediately. And you just see the camera knocked down to the ground, and then like a cup of water. That's all we had for safety, was like one small cup of water. But yeah, I mean, we've always been making videos. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tape. Hopefully both me and Kyle get a lot more famous than we are right now, so we can actually make a cool documentary about it, because we have all this footage going back to when we were in like fifth grade.
Oh, we'll find those. There's somebody listening to the Wonk podcast that's going to make that documentary right now.
Yeah, it's pretty insane what we have and how far back it goes. And then, you know, Kyle did HCW, his wrestling thing.
And you helped with that, right?
Yeah, I helped with the editing of it, the building of it, but mostly that was Kyle. And I just kind of, I mean, I had my own, but I did it with my friends. I mean, it was like a thing. Everybody had their group of wrestlers in like 2000. And so we all had our own little thing. I would film in the same HCW place as he would. I would just change the sign. I don't remember what ours was, but.
So it was like WCW versus WWF in a way.
Yeah, actually there was 3. There was mine, which I cannot remember the name. We didn't do it a lot. We just did it because it looked so fun when Kyle was doing it, really, in the end. But Kyle had his, which was fairly legit. And then Kahan, his brother, Kevin, he had one called KWF. Kahan's one of our audio engineers. He's awesome. But we go back too, and he had one. And so I would watch both of them. There was KWF and HCW. And so, yeah, I don't know why it was such, because I talk about this and nobody that I know had like big wrestling crews like that, backyard wrestling things.
No, that's a Concord thing, I think.
It must be. I don't know.
That's dope. Kahan, so Kahan's part of the Stereophones.
Yes.
Did he have that band in high school?
He had, let's see if I can name them all. Kahan will let me know. He had 4 Days Late, All Heroes Die, and then the Stereophones, and there was a couple other ones. But our school had there were times I swear there was like 20 bands, and Kyle would do the talent shows, and I would tech them, and then Kahan would be in 3 of the bands at the talent shows. It was a very unique school because
very artistic school, it seems like.
Yeah, and I don't think we had an arts academy, but like Kyle wasn't part of the arts academy. I was part of the arts academy, but I had keys to my high school, and I would go in and have to build, because I'd have to go to rehearsals because I was in the play, so I'd have to be singing and dancing for whatever, Grease or whatever it is. But then on the weekends we wouldn't have a tech crew, so I'd have to go in and open the school and build all the sets and then keep going from there.
Damn.
Yeah.
When did you make your first music video?
First music video, I want to say it was helping. Oh no, it was Rock You Like a Hurricane, and it was the first time I'd ever used a green screen. But for some reason we used a yellow screen because we didn't have anything green, but my mom had a yellow sheet. So we used that. And then in the back of the video, we were supposed to be in a hurricane, but I just kept using footage from Twister.
Dope.
So it was just tornadoes, and it didn't even make sense in the end. So that was probably the first music video I made. There's probably a bunch of others. I just can't.
I looked on your website, and there is 30 Stereophone music videos. So obviously, there is a collaboration. There is a partnership there.
Yes. So Stereophones in whenever I came down to LA, 2010, I think, 2008, and then somewhere between that and 2009.
So the move to LA is when it really kicked off.
Well, that's when I started making music videos for them. Before that, I just I helped them record, and then I helped them put on shows at our school, but we never did music videos together.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I moved to LA that Kahan decided to do 12 songs in 12 months, and each month was going to have a music video for it.
That's awesome.
It was great.
You guys moved down together?
No, maybe around the same time, but he went to Pomona, and I moved in with the boys at the Hamlin house in 2008. Is that right? 2008? Yeah, that's right.
You moved from Concord in 2008?
Oh, no. Well,
let's go to that.
Okay, let's go to when I left Concord.
When you left Concord.
Okay, so I left Concord. I went to Monterey Bay, CSU Monterey Bay, which was, at the time, I don't know what it's like anymore. I don't go there anymore, but it was the coolest place ever to go to school. It's on the old Fort Ord base. So when I went there, I literally would walk through abandoned buildings to get to classes. Because it's this old military base. And I swear it looked like somebody just walked into all the buildings all right, everybody out. Leave your food there, leave your shoes over there, and out. And everyone just left. And so it was just this abandoned, it's huge. It's the size of San Francisco. And so we would just walk around, and at one point we found one building that still had power. So We'd bring everybody in, and we'd set up all our amps and drums, and we'd play music in there and do shows. It was one of the coolest places. There was abandoned bank, abandoned jail, abandoned pool, abandoned music theater. We would just go through all of them. It was great. So I went there for film, worked there. All I did was film. I did not, I wish in hindsight I had really looked around and realized that I was going to school in one of the most beautiful places ever. But
you shoot more there or what?
Yeah, I filmed, literally every weekend I was on a shoot. I guess you call them shows down there. Up there you call them shoots. But somebody's senior project I was shooting, or something for myself. So, I had a lot of fun, but I was either partying, doing stuff like that, or I was shooting. And I never really enjoyed, I didn't go surfing until my senior year. I didn't go scuba diving. Big Sur was right around the corner. I went there once. So it's just one of those things damn. Now I get to enjoy it when I go back. So that's nice.
Yeah. You put the work in then, so now you get to enjoy it.
Yeah, so I went there. I became the head of the film department. So I guess they called it head media tech back then. And then from there, I moved down to LA, and I had a job working as a PA in Big Brother.
And that's how you got the casting jobs?
Yeah, that's how I got the casting jobs for a long time. They would let us live in the hotel while they'd fly people in from wherever to be on Big Brother or whatever show. Then eventually I got on the show and I would work on Big Brother. And while I was doing Big Brother, we were always making our own stuff. And we started on the 5th year thing with the Workaholics boys, and then got Workaholics and worked on that.
Let's slow that down a little bit.
Let's back up a little bit.
Yeah. So the Big Brother.
Yes.
Hold on, give me a second. So Big Brother, when you were PAing, describe how you actually got the job of casting. Like, did you just talk to somebody? Did they ask you, or did you?
So, when I was one summer, somebody had asked me somebody at film school was working at Big Brother casting, and they asked me to come down with Haley and a bunch of other people.
Haley, your business partner / wife.
Yes.
Okay.
And we would all come down for spring break or summer or winter break, whatever we could, and we'd work for Big Brother when we could. When I came down, I worked for them at the hotel at LAX, just casting, not even on the show. Then from there, somehow I got an interview, and I'm the worst at interviews for the most part. Like, when I really want something, and when it's like, if I don't get this job, I'm going to have to ask mom and dad for money. I just can't. I do so much better when there's no, like, pressure, and I can just talk. So I did a horrible job, and so I didn't get the job. But then they started, and they just needed a PA randomly, and I was like, yes. So I showed up, and it worked great. I got along with everybody. I became on the art department side, and then I started shooting for it, and it was great. I mean, I look back to that time, and I'm like, I made $410 a week working there, and it was the best, because all I needed was enough money for a 30 rack, and everything else I could just take from Big Brother, like toilet paper and food and all that stuff.
That's dope.
So yeah, that time was so fun. I mean, we lived at the Workaholics house, that same house. Before it was Workaholics, we lived in there for 2 years before it was Workaholics, and just all of us just trying our best to make it in any way possible.
So you guys were working at Big Brother, and the guys and Kyle were making their little shorts?
Yeah, so I would help them make their shorts. They would write them. They were always writing their own, because they were the 5, and then I still had my team from CSUMB that would be down here, but most of them have left.
They were the 5?
4. How many people is there? 4.
Yeah.
That's how math works?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I thought Kevin was already part of it or something.
No, 4. Yeah, I guess that's what you're saying. So the 4 of them were making their things, and I would help them. Like, I helped with Proto Tank, and I helped shoot the Wizard music videos, and I shot a couple sketches for Adam and stuff like that. But yeah, Blake was working at Sacco's, Kyle was teaching editing, Adam was just doing stand-up, and we were working at Big Brother, and we would always come home, and almost always around 10 or 11, a beer pong game would break out, and we just play beer pong and talk about what we're doing next, and making videos and editing. I mean, we always had side projects. I can't even think about all of them. We always had another show. We did Preppy Hippies, which is a show we did with Jillian, a little pilot we did with them.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of stuff that we were always hustling for. But in the meantime, you had to make money.
Yeah.
So then we all had our other jobs.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Was there a schedule you guys like kind of kept? Like, we got to make a video this week, or was it just as it came? Was it as the inspiration hit?
I think they did at first, but it was mostly when I was so worried about making it in LA, not making it as in like making it, like successfully making it. I would just wanted to be here and make enough money to stay here. Because having seen so many people come down from college, a lot of people would go down for a year and then leave because they couldn't be here. So that was my first goal when I got to LA, was just make enough money that I never need to ask my parents for anything. And if I can do that, I can move on to the next step, because that was so important, because I wanted to be here, and I never wanted the excuse of, oh, I could just leave or whatever. I didn't want that to be an option. So I just wanted to live here in any way possible. And that was the first goal I had when I got to LA. And we were doing that. right away, basically.
Was it just Big Brother jobs until Workaholics?
No, man, you're making me think way far back. It was a lot of PAing, a lot of camera work, a lot of editing. I did a ton of editing back then for people. I don't know if I was working. I did a Fuel TV show I was a producer on for a while called In the Moto,
Yes.
In the Moto, the Outdoors. So I did that for a long time. I'm not sure when I think it was right as Workaholics
It was
started.
like right before, I believe.
Right before. And then like I went down to San Diego and did a surf show with the Paskowitz before Workaholics. But all of that, like this is why it's so hard to remember it, is because all that stuff for the most part was just part of staying in LA. It wasn't about that stuff wasn't part of the goal. The goal was always to be writing and shooting and making our own stuff. I mean, during that time, I wrote a couple feature films. I've always been writing and thinking of new things to do. So I tend to split them up in my head on which ones, even though it is like I'm making TV down here. A lot of that goes on like the business side of like, okay, you just got to make X amount of dollars to stay here. And then everything else, like even Rage and Beauty and things like that. Sorry, jumping ahead a second.
That's okay.
That kind of stuff, that's the goal. That's what I want. Workaholics, that's the goal,
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
But then there's also this other side of, all right, you just got to make rent.
Yeah. You got monthly goals and then you have
Life goals. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. So starting on Workaholics, you started as a DIT?
Yep. I didn't even know what that was.
I didn't know till last night. So
Yeah, I had honestly, I still don't, like, I couldn't do that job now. I have no idea what it was. I know I grabbed media and I copied it and then I handed it to the post team.
good job.
Yeah.
I mean,
we never lost a card.
There we go.
So that's good.
And you kept rising in the ranks, so you did it right.
Yeah, I did that. Then season 2, I actually wasn't on Workaholics season 2
Why?
because I wanted to jump up to something else and there wasn't an operator position, or there wasn't one that was offered to me at the time I wanted it, and and I had the Fuel TV show and I was going to travel and be a producer on it. So
you did have another job.
I had another job. I just couldn't do both. I love doing two things at once. I normally like to do, like if I could do weekends or whatever, I just like to work, but that one just wasn't going to happen. So I didn't do season 2.
Okay, so you come back from season 2.
Yep.
And what are you?
I am a part-time, what they call a 40-hour guy. I'm a 40-hour guy camera operator.
Okay.
So I only can work 40 hours a week.
Wow. Why is that?
Which is basically 3 days. Well, 3.5 days or something
Part-time,
like that.
so they don't pay you as much as they pay the...
Yeah, basically, instead of the normal rates, instead of, everyone works 12-hour days, 13-hour days, I would get cut at 8 hours. So I only worked 8 hours a day.
Wow.
So I would do that.
Did you have to wear a T-shirt or something?
Yeah,
that said
just
part-time?
yeah, I was a part-time operator. So like, call time would be 10, I'd get there at noon, and then they'd all shoot till 10, and I'd leave at 8.
I mean, it sounds like you're the most important person on the thing.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, actually, because I could just come and hang out, and then they'd cut me loose.
Legally, I can't be here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I can't. I'm sorry, I have to go.
Yeah,
So it was cool because it was the first time where Grant was able to be just the DP, and I could come in and help op and everything like that. And that's kind of what happened.
Was Grant operating
I'm
and
fairly
DPing?
certain he was opping and DPing season 2. And then season 3, he was able to do that, not as much.
Wow.
And then season 4,
The best season.
wait, I started season 5, right? So I don't know what you're trying to get at.
I mean, I was in season 4. That's what I'm trying to
gotcha.
get at.
I thought you were going to say the first time I directed. So season 3, I was an operator. Season 4, I actually wasn't even operating. I was just working with Kyle. I was his assistant, but on paper they wrote something else. I think it was like I was a Wonk executive on the call sheet.
Oh, wow.
And basically what I would do is they had a lot of new directors, because Adam wanted to direct season 4, Durs wanted to direct, Etten wanted to direct, and they were very versed in the directing, like the actual like how to get what they want from actors and how to tell the story. That stuff, I mean, that was perfect for them.
Yeah.
But what they didn't necessarily know was all the technical jargon of coverage.
Yeah.
How do I relay this to the crew and all that? So I would help them because I had watched Kyle, and that's what I've always done. So Kyle, that season, I would just watch him. I just shadowed Kyle for all of season 4. I would just watch everything he did. Then I would do it. I would draw storyboards. I would draw overheads for every scene. I would do everything up until it was time to go. And then basically what it was is Kyle didn't have to do that nitty gritty work. I mean, even though he knew it all and I would go through it with him, like it probably took as much time to do it with me as it did for him to do it by himself.
Yeah.
But because he was letting me do that with him, we were able, I knew the show inside and out. And so during that, there was an episode where there just wasn't enough people. And I actually don't even think I was supposed to be on set. I think I was just there hanging out. And I just kind of, I mean, I don't really know another word to say it. I kind of like snuck into the seat for a second to help them because Kyle was in the episode. Nobody was around. There just wasn't somebody there. So I just kind of snuck in and tried to help as much as I can. Not that I was trying to take over, which I guess in hindsight probably looked like I was trying to take over, but I honestly was just trying to help and no one was there. And I'm so bad at like knowing when I can and can't do things because I'm just working for the project.
Yeah.
And when I see a hole, no matter what it is, I'm going to try to fill it.
Yeah.
But that's not always the right thing to do.
Did you get in trouble for that?
I don't think I got in trouble. Whatever it was, it ended up being fine because the next season I was able to direct, which was awesome because I didn't think I was going to be able to direct that soon because I had gone from camera operating to directing in, 2 years.
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the normal jump. So let me get some coffee.
Sure.
But so season 5, I get to direct, and my first episode is Front Yard Wrestling.
Oh, wow. With Stiller.
With Stiller.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I was nervous as fuck. Like, I didn't even know I could be as nervous as I was.
Oh.
Like, I never slept. I mean, it was just like, and I didn't know why, because I know how to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I know how to direct. You're just the quarterback. I mean, you're trying your best to get as much emotion, but I mean, those guys are so perfect.
Yeah.
In their comedy, you're just making sure you have enough coverage to get all the jokes, to make it work and find it in the edit.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe how tired or how like scared I was. So I show up on my very first day. I meet Ben, super nice. And I go up into the ring because it's a wrestling episode and I'm doing the big ring stuff first. And I stand there and Ben's standing right next to me and I give this whole speech and I inherently have a very loud voice. But I'm basically telling everyone like, we're going to be shooting. We're calling cut and action's probably not going to be happening as much because we had 10 pages to get in that day and it was all action. I give this whole big thing. Everyone does this, fake clap for me.
Yeah.
And then Ben just turns to me and he's like, Jesus, you don't have to yell that much. And I was just like, and he doesn't give it away that he's joking or he's not. And so he just walks out and I'm just like, oh, perfect job, Adam. Right away. First 20 minutes directing and you're already getting made fun of.
Zoolander's already
just
zinging
rip
it.
it on. So it ended up being fine. That I love that episode every time I watch it. But Ben had hit a hard in and out on the first day and second day. So we had to do all this stuff and he's in half the episode.
Yeah.
And I think we had to do it all in 10 hours. So it was pretty crazy.
Well, you did a good job on it, obviously, because he used you for a commercial, right?
Yes. Yeah, I went out to New York and did his Zoolander 2 commercials, which was really fun, actually. It was the first time shooting in 3D.
That's
well,
awesome.
because I did two things. I did the More You Know bits, which are pretty funny. I felt so young because I didn't even know what that was. The
Really?
More You Know. Yeah, I don't know why. Well, I didn't really have cable growing up.
That's on Channel 4, bro. It's not cable.
Well, my mom never let us watch TV, so we just kind of watched movies. So I just never knew what it was. So I'd all right, the more you know, the more figure it out. But yeah, so I did that. It was a lot of fun. I'm trying to remember when that was, but it was.
It was a little later.
Yeah. But, and then I did and then I directed every season. I direct in every season after that. So I did 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah. Right around 5, we were doing Raging Beauty.
Yes. Yeah. It had to have been around. Yeah. Yeah. Season 5, we got Raging Beauty. And that was probably some of the most fun I've had on set.
Yeah. I saw your reel, and the first shot in your reel is me.
Really?
From what we did in that little back room.
Oh, yeah.
That little back room.
Dude. That was such a fun shooting scenario.
It really was. It was like the best creative zone Because it was low stakes.
Very low.
Well, low stakes, but we showed it to Adult Swim, and they
Yeah.
liked it enough to give us money to make a pilot.
Absolutely.
But it was like the best. You, me, and your brother. That's all it was. And a couple of cheeseburgers.
A couple of cheeseburgers. Yeah. The best part I remember about that was I forgot to bring a long cable, and I only brought a 3-foot XLR cable. So me and Kyle, he was holding boom, and I'm holding the camera, and we can't get more than shoulder apart from each other because the XLR will unplug. So we're just like basically hugging each other while shooting you just riff the whole time. I mean, it's the most insane shooting scenario, but it worked.
It totally worked.
Yeah,
You
it was
could
great.
sense that in the room.
Yep.
Like, I look back at that, and I'm like, that's not the show we made.
No,
That's not how I felt at the time. But just for some reason,
there's some magic.
there's some weird magic.
For sure, man. I very much, like, I've done a couple commercials, and when I do those commercials and it feels like anything I ask for, they'll give me. I mean, not anything, but, you know, like if I'm like, hey, I want a jib, they're like, okay. Or, hey, can we have a day and a half as opposed to a day? They're like, yeah, whatever. I don't necessarily like that as much as when I like work in a box.
Yeah.
When I'm working in a box and I can only do this or only do that, it really helps me be the most creative I can. And I've really felt that on most of the stuff I've done, like aside from commercial work, like Workaholics. I mean, we were always fighting to have scripts. Adam Devine's house party. We were shooting a lot of stuff in a very small amount of time. I mean, it's really, I think the best, and it shows in those kind, like Rage and Beauty, but even the pilot we did, same thing. It really shows when you don't have enough money to do what you want, you always figure a way.
Yeah.
So.
And you really look at locations. Like, we found a beautiful little bowling alley.
Yeah, which that's how I just used it again for another pilot.
For the comedy
For
bowling?
the All-Star, with Dino.
Yeah.
Dino, yeah. It's great. It's such a cool location.
Was that another tone poem, or did you actually get money for that pilot?
I think there was some cash there, but not for anybody. It was just to, like, you know, I had to pay my operators and we had to pay for locations, but it was a very low stakes thing. But it was great. It was super cool.
In this podcast, we talk about Rage and Beauty. We recently posted it on YouTube. It's under the craziest show never made, so check it out. It's pretty crazy. Tell us more about all the different proof of concept stuff you did, like to try to get a show.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if I say, for the most part, I say I, or if we, because I'm using the we of like the Workaholics house or me and my wife or whoever, if we say we're going to make something, for the most part, we always come through with something. So with Rage and Beauty, thought about it, and then at least we went and did it. I mean, that only took us an hour and a half to shoot. You know what I mean? And so, like, I've done Ethos, which was a short film I made off of a feature I wrote while I was in the Workaholics house, and that turned out really good.
Yeah.
I've done, Rage and Beauty. I've done, I mean, even back when we were in the house, when we wanted to see how it was to make a documentary, we just made a documentary, made Crash the Coast, a feature-length documentary. So sometimes we just jump into it and do it. But I think and then I did the bowling one that I just did.
And we did Stickman, too.
We've done Stickman. I have to be missing out on a bunch of them. I can't think of all of them right now. But I am definitely a firm believer when we're getting into the scripting phase of something. I am such a firm believer in, like, let's just go test it. Yeah. Like, on this show I just did for Netflix, I was the let's test it guy. Like, they'd be like, oh, we need to explode this truck, right? And I'd be like, all right, I know After Effects. Let me see if I can do it so I can tell the person, whoever my graphics person or VFX person is going to be, how to do it. So I need to know how to do it before I can tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
Because I can't, guessing or whatever is very difficult. So if I'm going to do a podcast or whatever, I need to set it up once, know it, and then I can, like, talk about it. But until then, I'm not even going to talk about it because I really don't know.
Yeah.
So I need to know if I'm going to talk to you about writing, I better have written a script. If I'm going to talk to you about using a particular lens or using something, a crane or a dolly or a drone, I need to have at least tried it once so that I can talk to you and give you so I know how to best let you know what I want.
At least the broad strokes.
Just broad strokes. Yep.
And limitations.
Exactly.
I like to know the limitations of Photoshop. Like, can you do this? No, you can't do that.
Yeah, and I think I talk to Kyle about this all the time when I'm on set because, he'll be out and doing his movie and I'll be doing something somewhere else and we'll call and we'll be like, it's the same problems. It's the same things the same problems I had on Ethos or Rage and Beauty are the exact same problems that I'm having on a $8 million Netflix show or Kyle's having on a $100 million movie. Yeah. Like, it's so fascinating that the problems, they're kind of all going to be the same. So once you can figure it out, and the reason Kyle is so good and what I try to do as well is we've done a bit of everything on set. Kyle was an editor. That's what he always wanted to do, was be an editor. Well, not always, but I mean, like, for a while, that's what he wanted to do. And so now when he's shooting, he knows exactly what to do. And same thing with me. I graduated as an editor. So when I'm shooting and I'm directing, I know what takes where are going to work. So even if 100% of the take's not great and only 80% is good, if I know that other 20% is going to be covered by another camera, we can move on.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff that I think really helps and is the reason we can do so many little things and have them turn out really well.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
That kind of went down a little path there, but
no, it's good. Let's talk about Crash the Coast a little. What was it like preparing for that? Preparing for a documentary that is, how long was it?
How long
of a trip was it? What did you guys plan on doing?
It was 14 days. The footage-wise was 14 days. We were actually in the RV for 18. So we did a 3-day trip up to make sure the RV worked, which it never really did. And then we did a 1-day back. So the actual footage spanned, we did one surf county, which is 14 coast counties in California. We did each one a day for 14 days.
Wow. And did you guys have a story written out or just like, let's see what happens?
This is the best part about Crash the Coast. Man, I thought it was going to be a surf documentary. For some reason, I thought we were good enough at surfing that was enough to hold the movie. And in fact, I couldn't have been further from like the truth. Like, we were the worst surfers. And we only got one good day of surfing out of 14 surf days. Jeez. We didn't check the weather. We didn't check the swell. We didn't even check the roads we were going down. And in the end, what it turned into, which I like even more because it's actually right up our alley, is it turns into a story about family and what you decide. Like, we actually had true family in there, blood. Then you had friends that were so close that it was family. And just how those people, how family how they deal with each other in that. That was so stressful. So it was just how they interact. And you'll see it through there. I just watched like the crash scene 2 days ago randomly. And it's intense. It's fun. I still can't believe that we did it in the first place. And it seems so long ago. When we were done with that, like Workaholics was just about, we did it in between from when they shot Workaholics season 1 and when it came out.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little later than that.
No, so we shot season 1 of Workaholics. Then they shelved it for like 9 months or 6 months or whatever it is. In that time is when we shot Crash the Coast. So when it was done, Workaholics was out. We were all excited. We kind of just edited it real quick and then kind of forgot about it in a way. And so it's fascinating to go back and look at it and be like, damn, that was a lot of work. That was a lot of work to make that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about all my friends. It was just it was good. I mean, I talk about it now as the coolest vacation video you could ever make. That's what I kind of think about it now as, and I'll always have it. So
yeah. That's dope, man. So let's go back to some music videos.
Yep.
You did a music video with Chance the Rapper and Donald Glover.
Yep.
How was that?
That was good. It was a really fun music video. It was
going back to surfing, you know.
It was going back to surfing. It was interesting because I had a different mindset of what surf. So when he brought it up, saying Donald Glover, when he brought it up, or he wanted to do a music video with surfing in it, and I was like, perfect. That's, awesome. In my brain, that kind of made me feel like he knew a bunch of surfers. Like, I mean, like, I think about the people I know that surf and they're like raging on double overheads, you know, traveling to Bali and Tahiti and going surfing. And when we went, it was very apparent on the shoot day that that's not what was going to happen on that day. So it really ended up taking a whole new life on the day where it's like, let's just have a beach hangout zone and we'll go into the water. We'll smoke joints on surfboards. I mean, I had just figured out how to fly drones. We did some drone footage in there.
Dope.
And it just turned into like, basically any plan we had for that went out the window kind of on the day. And we just had a fun day and shot it and edited it. And that was it.
Yeah.
It really turned into a really fun. It was probably my least planned out music video, but one of my most fun music videos.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was cool because just kind of, it's a tough, music videos are tough if you don't have them fully planned out. Like when I work with Kahan, it's like, I don't really have them always, like we had my favorite music video I ever did when I did with him was we shot, I think it's 9 seconds of footage, but we shot it at 480 frames per second.
Holy shit.
And then reversed it. So the whole music video, the whole 3-minute song is only 9 seconds of footage. And it's played that slow and in reverse. So it's like this really weird music. And that was
so much jump roping and stuff.
Yeah, jump roping. Yeah. And they were naked. And it was just, I had a guy driving my truck. I had the camera mounted to the side of my truck and I was just pulling focus. And we did it one time and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. But they're all just like proof of concepts. Like that one's supposed to be on a back lot. Like same idea, but like on a huge town back lot. But we didn't have enough money for that, so we did what we could.
But now if you ever get that huge town back lot, you've already
I've got an idea.
You got an idea.
Like we did one with Brendan called Islands, and it's the most uncomfortable music video you'll ever see because he holds his breath for the whole 3 minutes underwater.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I'm wearing a scuba tank with a camera, and he's just holding his breath underwater in my pool the entire time while things are happening around him. And so that was the cool thing about Stereophones is every music video I did for them was like a different concept I wanted to test.
A different film concept.
A different idea. Yeah. So I did 2 that were all slow-mo, like all super slow-mo. I did that one, which was all underwater, one take. I did another one where it was on a stage and it's all one take. And we tried it like 10 times. Finally, I think it was like the 11th, 12th one. We got it right. But, you know, they were in a family room. And then as the music video kept going, it all went away and they were just left on a black stage. And it was all, and so all the stuff went away. So that one was cool. We did one that was filmed entirely on GoPros where everything was a weird mount. So, but the one Islands is very interesting because it's just, you can like watch his toes curl as he's trying to like hold his breath for the final 2.5 minutes.
Brendan Brown, Wonk employee.
Yeah.
He's in the room. Say what's up.
What's up?
Yeah. He even at one point cracked a beer underwater and drank it while holding his breath underwater, or pretended to drink it, I guess you should say.
Oh gosh, we'll put a link up to all these videos and all these. We'll at least put a picture of the links.
Yeah.
Because we're not verified yet on Instagram. We're not Will Smith yet. Right?
Not yet. That's all right.
He's 50 today.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a huge Will Smith fan.
Everybody should be a huge just happiness.
I had this one question I used to ask people is who's better in the TV, music, and movie space? All of them, aside from Will Smith.
Donald Glover doesn't have movies yet, really.
Not fully. I mean, I think he had like 7 blockbusters in a row or something.
And he made the songs for those blockbusters.
Yes. He had something like it was. I've looked it up before because it's kind of it's not that it's annoying. It's just interesting that he is like. There's nobody that even really.
No.
Someone's gonna post something where it's like, you're wrong. There's Danny Elfman, but technically, well, think about it. Danny Elfman has He has some. You know what I mean? Like he has TV stuff. He has, but
he's not a superstar.
That's what I'm saying. But
put Will Smith's picture next to Danny Elfman's and say vote. Don't even say what the contest is. Just say vote. Pick one.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be Will Smith for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's I mean, there's nobody better.
Will Smith's the best. One cool story I heard about Will Smith.
Okay.
It's kind of a Jerry Bruckheimer story, and everybody always talks shit on Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah.
But like, they were shooting Bad Boys.
One.
Okay.
Okay.
And he looks at Will Smith. He's like, "Let's take your shirt off. Keep your button up open, but take your undershirt off and run." He's like, "Man, I don't." Will Smith says, "I don't know. This seems cheesy." And he's like, "Just do it. Okay, let's just try it once." And Will Smith does it, runs, and he's running, and his shirt's open, it's just flying open. And Bruckheimer says, "Hey, come over to the monitor, check this out." And Will Smith looks at it, and Bruckheimer says to him, like, "You're a movie star now."
That's so cool.
And Will Smith says, he's like, "Oh, shit." Like, he was right. He just made me a movie star. I'm not a TV star anymore.
When I was in college, my 2 movies that I would watch, like, you know those movies when you've been drinking and then you're like back at your house and you're like, what am I going to watch while I just pass out? I would always either do Bad Boys 2,
Yeah.
Sahara.
With McConaughey?
Yup.
Or Steve
Tenacious
Zahn joint?
Tenacious D Pick of Destiny. I don't know why those 3 were just on loop in our house.
I don't know. Steroids do a lot of things to you, I guess. That's cool. That's what I feel like. You'd watch those movies before you
Dude.
fucking get a good pump in. Let's go. Ugh.
Yeah, but in Bad Boys, there's this shot of Michael Bay before they do that final explosion scene at the end, on the airport. They weren't going to do that explosion scene. So you can see it. It's in like the dailies.
They say Michael Bay.
He holds a check
Yeah.
out in front of the camera for how much it's going to cost. I think it's like $100,000 or something to do the explosion scene. And he paid for it.
Awesome.
Which is like, I was just like, oh, that's such a boss move. Like, I would love to do that
That's so dope.
just be like, I want this so bad. Screw it. I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
It'd be so sick. I want to get there.
Michael Bay did both Bad Boys, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I said Jerry Bruckheimer. Sorry,
well, he's a
Michael
producer.
Bay. Oh, so whatever. They both did it.
Yeah, I mean, I could be way off. I'm pretty sure it had to be Bay and Bruckheimer. They're like a team.
So if we say Bruckheimer, it's like potato, kind of?
Yeah, sure. I
Okay.
mean, I don't think it is anymore. Like, I don't think Bruckheimer's doing the Transformer movies, but maybe.
Whatever.
I mean, if only we had a magic thing that could go to IMDb.
We'll do. Somebody do that.
Somebody do that
I
later.
love doing that. Did this in the Jillian podcast.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Old Navy. What is your what?
I love that it went to there.
No, because you got a good thing going with Old Navy, don't you?
Yeah, I have half of my Nooch creative company is like corporate commercials.
Yeah.
So I'll have people, Old Navy or Ross or I don't know, Gap or all these people they'll hit me up through a couple contacts I have, and then I'll either go shoot it or I'll have some friends go shoot it for me. Some people that work for me, like today I had somebody go out and work for me, and then they'll bring it back and either I can edit it or I'll send it off to somebody else. But it's just, my dream has always been to have something that just sustains itself over and over and over and over. So that if there is a slump where I don't have a job for a while, I don't have to freak out, because I don't do well when I freak out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do well when I have to have a job. That sounds so weird. I don't do well when I have to go out and like find a job. The second I just go, okay, you know what? We'll be fine, is when I get a job.
Yeah.
But because it's just kind of how it's always been. And then, yeah, so I think that's why I keep that. And I actually really enjoy it. One of them is like go around and I travel to a bunch of Old Navies, and I basically shoot these little documentaries about the people who work there. So it's still a very rewarding experience, because I'm telling a story. I have to find a story, I have to tell the story, and I only have 8 hours to do it. And then I leave, and then I have to edit it. So I'm going around, I'm traveling from one place, then I travel, or, I shoot, travel, shoot, travel, shoot, travel.
And they don't have the stories ready for you? You have to find the story?
They don't have the stories at all. No.
Wow.
So I find them on the day. Sometimes I'll hear something about somebody, because I always ask. I was like, hey, what do you guys want this to be about? And nobody ever answers me, because they're like store employee. They're like,
You're the creative guy.
Yeah,
Make it
yeah,
up.
exactly. Which is fine. I just always, because I don't know everything. The worst part is when I'll get through like an entire day of shooting with somebody on like the last question or thing I find the story, and I'm like, oh no, now I have to go back and redo a bunch of this to make this story work. So, but it is cool. It's like shooting mini documentaries. So it's really fun.
How did you get Green Beret's Guide to
Surviving the Apocalypse.
I was going to say surviving Netflix, but
I mean, yeah, basically. That's about it. It's Scotty Landis.
Scotty Landis
of Wonk podcast fame.
Yeah. He recommended you?
He went up to replace the showrunner up there, and this is, mind you, this is over a year ago. A year and change ago, and I just got off the project recently. So it's been a long one. But he went up there to help. I'm not even sure how he went up there, but he went up there to replace the showrunner and start writing. And it was very clear to him that this was a tough show to make if you haven't been ran through the works before. And I love Workaholics, and I don't want to talk ill about it, but sometimes it was putting you through the works, where you wouldn't get a script until that morning, you wouldn't see a location until that morning, and you just had to perform. So because of that, I think he thought, and same thing with Adam Devine's House Party, we were putting those together, I mean, last second every time it felt like when we were out there. And you had to shoot a lot. I mean, you had to really revert to how you cover a scene. And there's only, you only have to do one thing when you cover a scene, right? You have to get a wide and 2 overs. If you can do that, you got a scene.
Yeah.
So you always got to start with that. So anyways, Scotty just knew I could handle this because it's a comedy at heart with bits of action. So I go up there and I end up shooting 3 episodes up there. I shoot the pilot, I shoot the finale, and I shoot a middle one. And so each one of them it's this guy named Sean Vance. He's an actual Green Beret, but the show is fully scripted, and he teaches you how to survive. Like my first one was how to survive a nuclear attack, and he does it in a very snarky way, like almost like a Deadpool way. But while he's doing that, he's really teaching you the actual ways to get away from the fallout, get underground, scrub the nuclear radiation off of you. What happens if a flashpoint's about to happen? You got to get out of town. Where's the best place you can go? It's going to be the equator. Like there's all this information that gets out. And so I did nuclear attack, a zombie attack, which is actually influenza and rabies. And I did what happens when a big earthquake makes a tsunami and how to survive all those. So it was just a very insane show. It was a lot of green people from the production company had never done a scripted show. We were on the scripted side of Netflix. I mean, there was just a lot of things working against the show, but we ended up getting enough done that we could go and ask for a little bit more money, which in turn they gave us some extra money, and we were able to shoot and finish the show. So I got off the project, but they're in post for another 8 weeks or something like that, just finishing up VFX and all that stuff. But it was I learned, this is going to sound, I learned a lot of what to do, but I also learned of what not to do when you're shooting a new show, which is great because that's all I want to be doing. I want to be making new shows, and I learned so much about what is the right way to do a show. And
as a director or producer or what?
As everything. I ended up being the showrunner with Scotty at the end. So me and him, he did the writing and I did the actual shooting, and then I helped him with all the post and all that. So the show, I learned, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I guess you learn on everything, right? Every single shoot you'll ever do, you're going to learn something. But I learned just how to deal with people. I mean, as a director, it's kind of your way or the highway. But when you have so many producers like we had on this show, that's not necessarily the case. When the other thing that happens is I've been making TV shows enough and tough TV shows to make that I know when it's going to work, what's going to stay. I don't know everything, but I know enough. I know a good amount to know when something's going to really work and when it's not going to work. And explaining that to somebody and not just saying it's not going to work, move on, because that's never going to go well.
Yeah.
You really have to explain why it's not going to work. And that's the thing that I learned a lot about was just dealing with people. I'm just, I tend to not explain myself a lot. I just do things a lot of times, roll the camera, point over here. Why? Because I want you to, kind of thing. That's what I normally do because I don't have enough time.
No.
That's what it comes down to. But that's not, you should make time because you respect your crew. And if your crew's asking, you should answer them. I mean, I think there's a fine line. I don't necessarily
ask me like 20 times in a day, why am I doing this?
Yes, for sure. But if you honestly want to know, I will tell you, and I should tell you, because the next time this happens, you'll know what I'm talking about. And maybe we'll get to the point where we got on Workaholics where we weren't even, like me and Grant or me and whoever, weren't even talking that much because we knew what everybody wanted. And that's the goal of any show. The goal of the show is that it becomes so second nature to you. And by the time we shot the final episode, which we actually did in LA, that show was a well-oiled machine for the most part. I mean, obviously everything's going to have a problem, but it worked really well. It was a whole skydiving episode. So it was great. We ended up doing a lot of green screen work, but it was how to survive a super volcano, which actually is a real thing.
Yeah, it's happening right now.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. I mean, we have one in Yosemite. They're called Caldera's. I can't remember. They're called Caldera's and
Deus Ex Machina.
Sure, that one.
Yeah. What was it like working with your brother? Because you guys co-directed season 2 of Adam Devine's House Party, right?
Yeah. Yep.
What
That was good.
like? Yeah?
I mean, that's also a tough one. So that we were in Hawaii, and I ended up doing most of the most of the scripted show. So Kyle did a lot of the the stand-up and make sure all the stage work and all that stuff. And I did almost all we split the scripts, but I did almost all the scripted stuff. So we would get one day of scripted work. Then the next day we'd only do a half day of scripted work, and then we'd do stage. But we couldn't even find enough operators out there because they were shooting, I think, Kong or whatever, King Kong. So I ended up, as the director and producer, I ended up having to shoot the stage stuff myself.
Wow.
Because we couldn't find anybody.
So you're calling out orders from
Well, that's
the
why
camera?
Kyle ended up doing the stage stuff. So
Okay.
I would just go into like camera mode, which I do still love to do because
Yeah.
it's very like, you're only thinking of one thing, how to get the best shot. So we ended up doing that. But I like directing with Kyle when we talk about it and we have our own things we're doing. Like, if I'm doing this and you're doing this, we're great. We can talk about it, but we know who's in charge at the point. The point where me and Kyle have not even issues because we always talk about it, but if we were both directing the show at the exact same time and we didn't know our duties, but I'm assuming that's the same for anybody. You don't know where to like step on, like whose feet you're going to step on between the two of us. But I think it worked out really well, and I actually think we'd be a great team because of our two brains. We have completely different. We're definitely not the same person in any aspect. He's so much more the literal artist, creative person, and I'm a creative in a much different way on creatively how do we get the best within our circumstances.
Yeah.
And so but we overlap in a lot of ways. But I think that's the reason we work so well together is we are different. Like, he reads a script, like we both have trouble getting through scripts, like just because our brains are thinking so much. He'll read a script and he immediately start trying to figure out emotionally, why is this person doing this? And I start reading a script and I go, how could I do this right now with who I know?
Yeah.
Like, production wise, like I immediately go into pre-production on like, how can I get the script done now?
Yeah.
So it's just we just think differently, but I think it works out really well.
That's awesome. What's it like owning and operating a company with your wife?
It's great. I suck at numbers, so I know broad strokes on numbers, but I don't know the small stuff. So it's great because she does that. She's really good at doing that part of it. And it's great. It's nice to be at home with the kids. You know, I mean, that's the hardest part. Like when we first had kids, we were in Workaholics. We were season, 2013. So, I don't know, season 4, 5?
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Your tattoo. Why did you look at your tattoo to figure out what the date was?
Because they have my kids. It says my greatest adventure, and then it's 11, 13, 15. 11 is when I got married. 13 is Owen, and 15 is Kate.
That's awesome.
It's just an easier way.
Yeah. I got my phone. I do that on my phone, but cool.
Yeah, I do it on my skin, I guess. I'm like Memento, Guy Pearce. I just write notes to myself all over my skin.
That's a good note, though.
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, it's so easy to remember.
That's
now.
a family-friendly note. Like
Oh.
Memento, if like he
Yeah.
was just writing his kids' birthdays
Yeah.
down, that'd be cool. Just
Yeah.
a great guy.
I mean, yeah, if I had, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Just be like, remember to say thank you to the mailman and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, but the plan was never for her. She stopped working now. She was an art decorator and art in the art department when we had Owen. And the whole idea was that she was gonna go to work some days. I was gonna go to work some days. It ended up being kind of like a pipe dream because we would have had to have the kids somewhere at all times. We couldn't figure that out.
Yeah.
So it ended up being nice that we now can. She has something that she can do that helps me tremendously and helps us as a family. And so it's been really awesome, and it's great because like I get to go on vacations with the kids and still work. Like I can still have people editing for me or working for me or whatever, but we can be off in our trailer out in the middle of the desert, which is where I like to spend most of my time, or up at Big Bear or the beach or whatever, which is what, if I wasn't doing film, I would just be traveling in my trailer. That's all I'd do. It was just traveling and taking pictures.
Thanks for listening, and as always, like and subscribe and comment. Let us know what you're thinking. Also, check out Wonk Inc.'s Instagram and YouTube. We're doing big things, y'all. See you next week.